Before I start, happy Chinese New Year's or Lunar New Year's everyone. Sorry this is a bit late, I've been busy helping out my family with more religious or traditional stuff, so I hope you don't mind this being our Monday upload. Thanks in advance. Otherwise, let's get started. So, Kimono Shana makes her debut right after Kimono Asuna, right in time for the Lunar New Year. How good is she, and how much of an impact can she make within this meta? Let's find out. If you want the TLDR, you can skip now. I'll give you guys 2 seconds. TLDR, as a unit, she's probably not worth rolling, but if you find out that you need a high scaling DPS for Decrepit Dream, she's a pretty decent pickup. If she's also a waifu status unit, then I would recommend you also pull for her anyways. Good luck, Void Agents. As a character playstyle wise, Kimono Shana seems to be a high scaling DPS that after a couple turns of setup becomes an extremely high damage dealer, coming with some unique effects that add on to her total damage. Charging up her bleed using both her S1 and ultimate skill gives her second skill a lot of bonus damage, meaning that she does take time to ramp up, making her usage for regular content quite a bit difficult to find. With the talk about her style out of the way, let's talk about her abilities. Her first skill, Blazing Charge, is a zero cost AoE skill that applies a bleed called True Crimson. This bleed works differently than normal, as it lasts 3 turns and can stack up to 5 times. Every time you stack it, the turn duration refreshes. Each stack of True Crimson does 8% attack each turn. While this might be a bleed effect, each stack of bleed doesn't get stronger from the bleed set itself, as it would be broken and lead to a 75+% damage increase. It also cannot be removed normally, similar to Swimsuit Mikoto if you guys have played Burst Link or unlocked her. I'm still very far from unlocking her. Her second skill, Infernal Wraith, is a 4-cost AoE skill that is going to be your main source of damage. It does pretty good damage, but if the enemies have 5 stacks of True Crimson, it deals a bonus 28% damage, which isn't bad at all. Couple that with a set effect that increases damage of 4+ cost skills, seems like a pretty strong combination. Do note, using the skill does refresh your True Crimson, meaning that you can constantly use this ability 5 stacks and won't need to reapply the bleed in other ways. And finally, her climax skill, Crimson Wings, is a 10-cost skill that deals AoE damage and inflicts 3 stacks of True Crimson. You definitely want this skill to be in your early rotation, whether that be on turn 2 or 3, as you need to use this skill to apply your 5 stacks of True Crimson as soon as possible, allowing you to start spamming your skill too. Strength-wise, it's not bad at all. Her general turn rotation should look something like Skill 1, Skill 1, Climax, Skill 2, and Skill 2 onwards until or unless you need something else. Her maximum potential is pretty good, but doesn't reach an insane amount of high AoE DPS like others do. It's above average damage per cost, but being able to have 3 turns of setting up without using abilities helps make Infernal Wraith spam a little bit easier. With that, let's move on to her assists and or crosses. Her first cross with Zero, Contractor of the King from Alternate World, is a 4-cost skill that deals AoE damage and reduces enemies' damage dealt for 1 turn. Do note that this is pretty expensive for an attack down, which is a downside, but if you feel that you need one, Zero will probably be your go-to. Also, Zero is a really good unit to cross with both versions of Shana, however, I prefer having slightly better speed on Kimono Shana, since you want the first turn of bleed anyway. Also, if you feel that you need a middle seal, Zero would also be really good. Her second cross skill with Miyuki, Ice and Fire, is a 4-cost skill that deals AoE damage and dispels up to 2 buffs from enemies. Again, this is a 4-cost skill, so if you need a cheaper skill that does something similar, I would not recommend running Miyuki. If you're looking to find an easy way to add Dispel on your team, Support Miyuki would be your girl, especially as another unit that has high attack growth. Even without using the skill often, Miyuki would still be pretty decent. Her final skill with Asuna, Cherry Flame Dance, is a 4-cost skill that deals damage to the front enemy. If you're looking to add some single target and are looking for a cheaper than usual rear seal, support Asuna's costs 4, then you should use Asuna. Other than that, I think if you are looking for supports, Zero and Miyuki would be your go-to if you need either a Dispel or Attack Down. Otherwise, if you are using Kimono Shana as your main DPS without any other abilities, I would recommend Len, another high-scaling attack user, who also is one of the fastest units in the game, allowing you to S1 super early. With that, let's move on to talents. Kimono Shana's exclusive talent is Blazing Wings, which increases the damage of your first and second skill after using your climax for 4 turns. Noting how it's 4 turns and you can climax on turn 2 or 3, this actually lasts how long Decrepit Dream does, making this an excellent damage additive. Other than that, you want to run a full damaging set, as that will assist you the most in Decrepit Dream and making Shana an excellent damage dealer. Percent attack, percent crit rate, percent crit damage, and your exclusive talent should make dealing max damage a breeze. Equipment wise, I would recommend the alternative fashion set, as after you fully set up your team, it will assist in your S2 dealing as much damage as possible. Also, if you have a cross skill, this increases the damage of those too, and with all the other units, you can double up on alternative fashion sets, since all their skills cost 4 or more, although I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Now then, we've come into the last part of the video, where we talk about the unit in general. Kimono Shana is without a doubt excellent in Decrepit Dream, a mode where you generally don't have to worry about killing units as soon as possible, and are worried about dealing as much damage as possible within a certain amount of turns. I believe that since it takes Kimono Shana so long to set up, using her in anything but Decrepit Dream will be much harder, unless you are willing to lose a decent amount of damage. If you are looking for an AoE Decrepit Dream unit, I would recommend you pull Kimono Shana, but if you already have others, or are on the fence with this purchase, I would just straight up say she's not necessary and you shouldn't get her. She does have nice animations and art though. Other than that, let's finish it up with the team building section, my favorite. Alrighty then, so we are in the team building section of the video. This is where I'm going to be bound to be making mistakes, but that's okay. I hope you guys can follow along. So, as usual, we are actually going to start with Kimono Shana, of course. It wouldn't make sense if we made a Kimono Shana video without making a team for her. And I would recommend that you run Lan on it, just because I want the bleed effect as soon as possible, and Kimono Shana is actually a really slow unit, so you need someone who's extremely fast and extremely strong in order to maximize on damage. Although this is going to be a little bit different, and because it's a little bit cheating, I'm going to say that we're going to run Kimono Asuna here in this second slot, and the reason why is because Asuna can actually use both of her ultimates currently. She can use her Frail ultimate and her 12 high damaging ultimate at the same time. Also, with our general turn rotation, we can fit in a 0 cost and a 3 cost skill relatively easily while Shana spams her S2. Here's the other thing though, we are also going to be adding a high damaging unit onto Kimono Asuna as well. Although we could add Lifa and have her use a Frail effect or something like that, I do not think that we have enough time to be able to do something like that. So having Kuroyuki Hime could work. We could also run Zero, but that's besides the point. Our last teammate, this is also going to be a little bit surprising, sorry about that. We are going to be running another unit that switches between different skills. We're going to be running Mikoto. So right now, our general turn rotation is that on turn 1, we actually skip everyone's first turn essentially. On turn 2, we'll be using a 6 cost altogether. So that means we have 4 points left over, which means if we do another rotation, we'll have 10 points in total, and we can just keep doing that jazz over and over again until Kimono Shana gets her abilities, and she can start spamming her S2 and uses her climax skill. Also, this team is very heavily reliant on using climax skills. Note, Asuna can use both her climaxes, so that's about 20 points. Kimono Shana is another 10 points. And Mikoto's is another 10-ish points. So here's the thing, we are also going to be running Jarn Griper on Mikoto, because we want to try and use both of Mikoto's ultimates as soon as possible, as they deal very high damage, and they also work with Kimono Asuna's climax skill, with an 18 point cost total. And with her, we are going to be running, we could just say Zero, it's probably, you know, something like this would probably work. So yeah, it doesn't really matter. With our general turn rotation, we're going to be using so little points at every other turn and rotating between using points and not using points, that Kimono Shana will eventually have enough anyway to be able to spam her 4-cost skill, especially since by the time that Kimono Shana sets up, we should be getting ready to start setting up our other units to use all their other climaxes. And with that, we have a decently strong AoE Decrepit Dream team. Although this is using another limited unit, obviously, Kimono Asuna can just be used as a really excellent example of another AoE Decrepit Dream unit. So, other than that, thank you guys for watching. I will also be streaming, hopefully tonight. If not, you guys can check out my stream, link in the description, and follow and get notified. Also, you guys can subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I hope to see you guys in the future. With that, thank you guys very much for watching, and I hope you guys have an excellent New Year's.